This is Tim, back again. Well, today I'm going to embark on a little bit of a project. I want to make a fermentation chamber, and as part of my fermentation chamber, I'm going to make a 5-gallon bucket cooler. Now, I know there are all kinds of videos out on the internet on these things. I'm going to do a similar project to them, but I'm going to do something just a little bit different. I've seen videos out there where they've used slices of styrofoam and they've wrapped them around the inside of the 5-gallon bucket. I've seen the 5-gallon bucket liners that you can buy at Home Depot and maybe Cabela's. I'm not sure where. I've seen them at Home Depot, and you get 3 of them for $17. That seems a little bit excessive to me, so I'm going to try something a little bit different. Something that I could make a bunch of these things for a whole lot less than $17. I got some 5-gallon buckets laying around. Right now I'm just going to make one, but let me show you what I'm going to do. If we look over here, I got my parts. And down here on the bottom, you'll see I've got the 3 nozzles, some 1.25 inch PVC, a 5-gallon bucket, some spray foam, and a concrete form. Now that concrete form is an 8-inch form, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill some holes in the side of that bucket for the nozzles, and I'm going to continue them through into the concrete form that'll be inside the bucket. And also on the floor I've got a little bit of styrofoam there. I'm going to put that on the bottom of the inside of the bucket, put the concrete form on top of it with the nozzles holding it in place, and then I'm just going to spray around the outside of it with the fill and seal and let it tie everything together. So anyway, I've got some of the pieces already made. I'm going to make some more right now, and we'll see how it works. I'm hoping it'll come out pretty decent. Okay, now you look here. I've already taken the bottom of my 5-gallon bucket and made an impression in the styrofoam here, and that's going to just go right inside there once I break it away. I'm going to make another one because I'm going to do a double layer. So really all I did was line it up on the thing there. Turn it on. Line it up. I'm just going to push it, twist it. Here you can see, got nice circles there. Break away the circle part and put that inside. Stop the camera now. I'm going to run around it with the utility knife so I get a fairly decent cut, and then I'm just going to stick those right inside the bucket. Put them right in the bucket there, a couple layers deep. Alright, got my 2 circles made. Let's go stick them in the bucket and see what happens. Let them settle down in the bottom. There you have it. Can't really tell. White on white, but it's a pretty snug fit. Worked out pretty good. It's about this far up the bucket, so I gotta. It's I think 3/4 inch foam. So now I got an 1.5 inch of foam in the bottom. Next thing I'm going to do, put this in the bottom, center it, and got it centered, and take and run a Sharpie around the edge of it. Okay, now I know where to cut this. Cut around the circle, and I'll have that. Now if you notice, This is 4-foot concrete form. It's about, I don't know, 14 inches up. Depending on your bucket you're using. Okay, actually that's a little over a foot up. So, about 12.5 inches. And it's going to be a little shy at the top there, which is good, because then I can put the lid on the 5-gallon bucket when I've got everything finished. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut the cylinder. Alright, now I'm going to drill some pilot holes, and as you can see, I've got this thing centered. I measured around the outside and I know exactly how far from the edges it needs to be, and in this case it's about 1 1/8 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it in place, and I've marked some spots. I'm drilling some pilot holes. Now the reason I'm doing this is so I can take my hole saw, cut some holes for the hole saw, and then also be able to cut the holes for the hole saw on this at the same time. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, got the hole saw ready. Let's see how we get this. Number one. Two. Now I know my hole saw is a little bit bigger than my pipes, but that's okay because I'm going to put spray foam in there and that'll fill out any gaps. Holes in that. Some holes in here. There you go. Not perfect by any means, but it'll do the trick. Up to there. What I think I'm going to do to get everything in place and centered properly is I'm going to take some hot glue and tack them in place with some hot glue before I finish it up. There you have one inside. I've gone through the process of starting to hot glue the tubes into the holes. I'll go ahead, I've gotten 2 out of the 3 done. Look, there's the inside. What I'm doing is running a bead of hot glue around the outside to hold them in place. And this does seal them a little bit. Although that's not really the reason I'm doing it, because when I put the spray foam in there, that's going to seal them pretty good. But this will okay. Got a good bead around everything. It is actually well sealed. Now what I'm going to do is spray foam in the gap here. Now once I spray the foam in, that's going to take a little bit of time. Let me measure this. 1.5 inches, about an inch and a quarter, inch and a half. Inch and a half. Yep, looks good. It's going to take a little bit of time for the foam to expand and fill in the gap here. And one thing just to show you, gallon jug fits right in there nicely. So I'll be able to get some good air circulation around that. Blow the air down, blow the air out. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, put the spray foam in. A couple things you got to know about spray foam is it's messier than all get out. And you got a little straw there on the end of the nozzle. Nozzle screws onto this, and you just trigger it in. Same stuff you use to go around windows and doors, fill gaps in your house. First rule of using spray foam: put on gloves. This crap gets everywhere. You're inevitably going to touch it. It does not come off. Okay, well, here goes nothing. The first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to shake it. It says to shake well. And if you notice, it says right on there, if you can read it, always wear gloves. So, alright. Put it upside down. And gotta get the trigger going. Let me. Okay. Okay. This is kind of an experiment. I just thought this would be a good thing to do, but I've never. Okay, sprayed some in. What I think I'm going to do is take a stick, try and push it down. This stuff will expand. I'm going to see if I can get it down. Stuff's supposed to expand for about 45 minutes. So just keep spraying. Actually, looks like it's doing okay. You can see it's trying to fill the gaps. It might work okay. I'm thinking I'm going to have to use another can of it. I just happened to have bought 2 cans. So, if I run out of this first one, which I'm just about to do, I'm going to have to pick up my second one. And one thing about this stuff is once you start using a can, you gotta use it up. There's no going back tomorrow and using more. If you've used it, you gotta use the whole darn thing. So I'm pretty much spent on this can. And I think I'm going to need to get the other one out. Oh. I just spilled some on the carpet. What's going to happen with that is I'm just going to leave it. Once it dries, it'll flake right off. Don't try messing with it. Can number 2. All right, you can see foam's filled up. It's coming up to the top. Expanding all over the place. Now, one thing I did do is if you look inside, I drilled some holes in the side and I pushed some foam in from the bottom. I had a hard time getting the nozzle down very far, so I went ahead and drilled some holes in the 4 quadrants and shot some foam from the fresh can into there. And I'm just going to let this stuff expand and fill in the gaps. The can says it takes about 45 minutes. I'm just going to let it sit overnight and check on it tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and mark out the hole in the lid for my fan and work on that. Okay, taking my fan apart, taking the top off it. I'm going to center it on my lid here and draw around the inside as much as I can. And I'll draw a nice circle when I'm done here. This, what I'll do is I'll just sit right down in this hole here. I'll cut it a little wide of my marks so that the rim sits nice and tight. It's been 15 minutes since I finished foaming the inside of the bucket. And as soon as I'm done drawing this, I'll turn the camera around and we'll take a look and see what it looks like. Okay. Here it is. That foam has really expanded. You know, based on this, I probably could have gotten by with one can of it. I did buy the cans on sale at Menards at 2 for $5. The tube cost me another $5. I had the bucket and I had the 2-inch pipe lying around, so that didn't cost me anything. Of course, I had the hot glue lying around. I don't know if this would have been easier if I would have just bought 3 of the foam liners, but it's kind of cool, and that foam is just pretty amazing. Alright, it's morning. I've let the foam cure overnight. Here's what we got. It's expanded. Got a big donut over the top of it. Looks kind of like a Christmas wreath. Now what I'm going to do is cut around the edge here. I got a serrated knife and a drywall knife. I'm going to see which works best. Just going to stick it through. That looks like this is working pretty darn well. Looks pretty good. Clean up the edges a little bit. I also, with some leftover foam, did a donut around here. I really don't think that's going to make a lot of difference, so I'll probably just peel that off. And okay, what I'm going to have to do now, since this goes in a little bit around the edge here, I'm going to have to recess a little bit in here so it'll lock shut good. Let's see. I think I'll just take my utility knife. I'm going to put it on the floor and knock it down a little bit. All right, we're on it. Now, one thing I didn't mention is I cut the hole out. I had a drywall hole saw, one of those things that has a little knife on the outside and a drill in the middle, and I used that to cut through the top of the can, and then trimmed it out with the utility knife. Fits pretty nice. Turn it on. A little air coming through. Not a ton of air. And honestly, I don't think I need a whole lot coming out. If I need a bigger fan, I'll get a bigger fan and cut a bigger hole. But there it is. It said cost me $5 for the foam, $5 for a 4-foot concrete tube, and some spare parts I had lying around. And there you have a nice little cooler. I'm going to turn one of my cupboards here into a fermentation chamber. Look over here. I've actually already taken out the shelves over here. I'm going to put some styrofoam in there. And those fit real nicely in there with another fermenter in there. I can put 2 in there. If I really tried hard, I could probably squeeze 3 in there. But 2 is probably the limit. The chiller and a single fermenter. But that'll work though. Anyway. So there you have it. Cheap and easy way to make yourself a nice air cooler. If you don't have access to a styrofoam liner, this is a good way to do it using easily accessible things that you can buy at any home store. And as you saw, it took me about an hour to build it, plus the 10 hours of waiting for the foam to cure before I cut it. Now the foam does say it's going to cure in 45 minutes. After 45 minutes it was still pretty loose, and it was noticeably larger overnight, and it leaked out over the side a little bit overnight. I think the stuff that was tight in the side of the bucket probably took a little while longer to cure. But I suppose you start it in the morning, you'll be done by afternoon. So, cheers. You guys have a great day. Well, all finished. Did a couple things to it. Let's see, painted it up a little bit. Actually did go out and buy some nozzles, which are actually just PVC pipe connectors to reduce it from the 2-inch to an 1.5-inch pipe. They go on the edge. I wasn't real happy with the amount of air coming out of it, so I thought the nozzles might help that. And with the temperature of the air coming out, it only reduced the temperature like 7-8 degrees. I thought maybe I could get a few more degrees out of that. But anyway, there it is, all ready to go. Hope you enjoyed the project. Make one, do what you like with it, and cheers.